Hello and welcome to Building the Premier Accounting Firm. I'm your host, Roger Knecht, president of Universal Accounting Center, and this show is committed to helping you, the bookkeeper, owner of the accounting, tax preparer business, actually have a thriving company getting paid what you're worth, offering quality accounting services. It's here that we talk about a variety of things as it relate to marketing, selling, pricing, staffing, just a number of things that you need to consider as you're working on your business and becoming the premier accounting firm in your area. Each and every week, I have on the show experts, individuals to share with us insights as to what it is they've done to build their companies, and today is going to be no exception. I happen to have Shauna, the tax goddess. She is the U.S. top 1% ranked, highly sought after tax strategist. She is passionate about helping business owners, entrepreneurs, and high wage earners reduce their tax burden. She has founded the Tax Goddess Business Services PC in 2004. She has built a large global team of tax specialists who actually use plain language, not tax code, to help their clients create tax opportunities and manage their tax risk legally. Shauna, the tax goddess, is also someone that she's working to engage and enthusiastically take care of people and bring pure joy to the work that she does. She is someone that actually brings fun to tax. She has a proprietary program, the STC, Strategic Tax Coaching, that she offers. She boasts a current average tax rate of 6.9% for her tax clients. And one of the things that I really find interesting is she finds herself as being someone who's zealous about tax and financial education. She is highly sought after as an author, speaker, and advanced communicator for her skills. She is actually someone over the past years that have been featured in magazines such as Forbes, Entrepreneur, as well as hundreds of television shows, podcast appearances. She's actually been on CNN, CBS, NBC, 10-Minute Entrepreneur, the Lifeblood podcast, and of course, today, building the premier accounting firm. So Shauna, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here, Roger.
This is wonderful. So clearly we're going to be talking about your business and things that you're doing, but I want to kind of get a backstory. What got you into tax? What got you into accounting? How did you start this journey and find yourself in this career?
Yeah, so very long story short, I actually started off in astrophysics, not anywhere near tax, not anywhere near accounting, but clearly a numbers brain. That was always my goal as a little girl, was to work for JPL, right? Some people say that was the deal. And very long story short, I was home during college over the summer, sitting at the kitchen table with my mom, and she's my goddess, right? So I always look up to my mama, and she was opening the mail. Now, my mom is German, very stoic, very, calm, composed, all the things. She opened this piece of mail. She unfolded it. She looked at it, put it down on the table, pushed back from the table. I'm like, hi, what's that? That's unexpected. Oh, I got a notice from the IRS, and, my CPA can't seem to deal with this, and the tax attorney can't deal with it. And nobody seems to know how to lower my taxes. This is just ridiculous how much I have to pay. Okay, well, when your mama, your goddess, gets upset, what do? You figure it out, right? So I said, all right, well, let me put my numbers brain to work. I started taking classes in the business college for accounting, finance, tax. Like, let's learn, right? What can we do? Long story short, took a couple of years there.
Yeah,
right? It's through some journeys through KPMG and big firms, little firms, middle firms, whatever. Ended up opening my own. My mom is now a proud owner of less than 6% tax rate. So it's all about having something that drives you, that makes you passionate to do what you need to do. So.
I love that story because clearly it's something that you were drawn to simply because of the situation your mother was finding herself in. Someone you love and care for is seemingly in trouble, and you're going to go about figuring out how to turn this around. It's the same thing so many people experience as it relates to health. The doctor isn't there, and so they're going to dive in and figure out this medical situation. You did it from a tax perspective. Now, the thing that then is also interesting, though, is it's not enough to just get the career and get into the profession and be working, but you also had this entrepreneurial drive. Why start the company?
Yeah, well, the downsides to being a redhead. Okay, so me and authority, not so much. So as I said, I was KPMG, right? So I did the big firm thing, went to a medium firm, did the small firm thing. And in all cases, it was great. I learned so much knowledge and so many different ways to look at things. But really, when it came down to it, I'm going to work how I want to work, when I want to work, how I'm going to do things, how I want to treat clients, how I want to treat my team. And I was not seeing that. So I started the firm when I was 24. So over 20 years ago at this point.
Wow.
Went out on my own and I said, all right, make it or break it, right? I'd rather figure this out on my own. And it's been a labor of love that I absolutely adore since then. So
I think that is amazing. Now, this brings us to branding. Obviously, branding is a key element in business. A lot of times we're trying to distinguish ourselves from our competition, show our clients why we're unique and special and why it is that we do what we do. And branding comes up so often and people are just struggling. How do I stand out? How do I kind of highlight my personality, the unique selling characteristics of myself? And lo and behold, we have the tax goddess here with us today. So I've got to ask, where did that come from? I mean, all the things, why the goddess?
I love it. Well, I wish I could say that was intentional. I always have to tell the truth. You know, being a CPA, I got to tell the truth, right? So long story short, here I was 24 going to open my business. I'm in Arizona. So went to the Arizona Corporation Commission, walked in the door. I was all confident. I need to start a company. And the lady behind the counter looked at me and said, great, what's it called? Like, I don't know. So I did what most of us do. Shauna, my middle name's Alexis. Shauna Alexis Wekherlien, Business Services PEC. Like, there we go, right? We got a business. We're fine. So here we go, probably 3 years later. Okay. And that was fine. It was a good name. Everybody knew me. They knew what was going on. Life is good. Okay. I'm at a networking event. And I'm a little bit of a chit chat. I do like to talk to people at a networking. Never. Oh, so I'm at this networking event, and it's one of those ones where they're like passing around the microphone, and you stand up and you do your 30-second commercial or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I'm talking to the guy next to me, and I get a tap on the shoulder and a microphone shoved in my face, and we're supposed to stand up in front of this room of 300 people. I grabbed the microphone and I went, "Hi, I'm Shauna the Tax Goddess," and 300 heads spun, looked right at me. And a very good friend of mine that was way on the far side of the room came up after and he said, everything. The company name, your name, don't even use your last name anymore. You are now hereverforth Shauna the Tax Goddess. And it stuck. And so I have had case after case after case. Somebody saw our name. Somebody saw my car driving by with the tag on it. You know, my license plates say Tax Goddess at this point. I mean, you know, it's a whole thing. And definitely goes along with the personality and the flaming red hair. So what do you do?
Well, first of all, I love it. I think it's fun, but more importantly, you own it. And that's one of the things that's most
100%.
important about it is you own it. Now, you've got your business, you're up and running, you're obviously specializing in tax for good reason. Why write a book? I mean, of all the things, I mean, you're busy, you're obviously taking care of things. There's things that need to get done. You're the tax goddess. Why now write a book?
I love it. So here we go further into the history of Tax Goddess. So technically at this point, I have 2 books. Very first book I ever wrote was me helping business owners. Okay. I thought that was going to be a hit. All right. Wrote probably 600 something pages. It's a very large book. It's almost a Bible on how to start a small business. Okay. Love that book. Got good reviews. We were happy. We sold a bunch of copies. Life is good. Later, much later, as I was thinking about the book, I said, you know, I've written this book, but nobody seems to know about this book. Like, what is the purpose of writing the book, right?
Yeah.
In today's day and age, writing a book is effectively a really long calling card, okay? Clients get pre-calls, they get sales calls, they get hit with TikTok about sign up for my e-course. They get hit with so much media. They don't know who to trust. They are looking for an authority in the space that makes it really, in my mind, 2 things. 1, prove that the authority is the authority. They know what they're talking about. They have the background. They have that detail. They can explain it. And 2, they can explain it in plain English. Because one of the biggest problems that we hear when clients call us, right? Yeah, my CPA I think is good, but every time I ask a question, I don't understand what they mean. If you're losing clients because you're speaking above them and not to them, it can be a big problem. So with this book, with the second book, The 6% Life, what we did was write it in a story format, right? So it's got an opening, it's got drama, it's got excitement and emotion and all the things, like almost like reading a novel. And that's how we got it to beat Think and Grow Rich on the Amazon bestseller list for 3 weeks in a row. Because everybody got it, they loved it, they read it. Most important, it's a calling card. People get halfway through the book and say, Shauna is clearly the expert. I need her team. I don't want to do this by myself. I'm going to go book a call with Shauna and the Tax Goddess. So that's where it is.
I love it. I love it. So the question I have to ask, spoiler alert here, does anyone die in the book?
No, thank goodness. Well, somebody in one of the stories, somebody did die, and we talked about how we helped them get out of it, but nobody's dead. Nobody's dead.
Okay.
Definitely drama, high drama, but yes.
Drama. Because the point is even death does not relinquish you from paying taxes.
Absolutely not, as we all well and know. Death and
Yes.
taxes, the only two certainties, right? So
yes. Well, the thing is there's people that actually pay more in taxes after they've passed than even they did during their lives. So, I mean, that makes for a great storyteller that even in death, they could not escape the clutches of tax.
Well, not without an expert. Right.
There you go.
Because that's what happens is people live their lives and they expect us as experts, as bookkeepers and CPAs and tax strategists to come in and fix their mess after.
Yep.
No, call us beforehand. And that's one of the biggest pieces of education we give our clients. If you're going to make more than 5,000 or you're going to spend more than 5,000, you call us before you ever write a check, pay a check, do nothing, right? Because at least then we can advise you on the proper way to do it.
Get your copy of Red to Black. It is the book written for accounting professionals to help businesses turn around and go from being in the red to being in the black. This book is written for consultants, business owners, operators, and managers, no matter what your client's product or service, or irrespective of your talent, skill, or expertise. As an accounting professional, you'll be able to use the principles presented in this book to actually become, for your clients, the profit and growth expert. Every chapter is filled with principles and concepts that you can use immediately with your clients to lead them from being in the red to being more profitable in their business, and see you as, in fact, their guide, their coach, with the expertise and wisdom that you can bring from this book. In the book, you have how-to guide explanations. You have models that you can follow. You're shown how to actually calculate and determine the fees for your services, the actual model that you'll use during the implementation of all this, and most importantly, the end-all results with your clients. Get this book now and see what it is you can do to offer this new revenue-producing service as, in fact, the profit and growth expert. For more information on how you can take advantage of this offer, go to the episode description and there get the information you need to take advantage of this today. All right, so now you've got this calling card, this great book, and it obviously pre-qualifies individuals. If they're going to bother to read it, they're going to come to you sold on who you are. You're clearly the expert, the authority, and they like what it is you're espousing, so they're going to pay you for your services. So I love the idea of a book. One of the things that I find with the books that I've written is it basically allows me to stop and take what's in my head swimming around that makes sense to me because I've got all the context. Now I'm forced to put it down on paper and, more importantly, kind of flesh it out. And in that process, I get clarity as to, okay, what's really going on in my mind? And as I write it out, I'm able to put it into a way that someone else could pick it up off the street, read it, and understand what's going on in this bright little mind of mine. So all of a sudden, this book is a great way of capturing all this experience, wisdom that you've now gained and record it. And honestly, it becomes a legacy because it's going to be around a lot longer than I'll ever be around. So that's one of the beauties of it. So there we go. All right. So now what we're doing here is we're talking about tax. You're the tax authority. So I've got to ask you some tax questions. What are some of the most overlooked tax deductions that successful business owners don't take advantage of or may not even be aware of?
Ooh, okay. So I always have to break this into like categories, all right?
Okay.
Because you have the little business ones, all right? Paying kids has become popularized now, but not everybody knows about it.
Yeah.
Making sure your clients have an accountable plan. We have had case after case after case where a client comes in, it's a one-page document. Have the accountable plan in place so that you make sure you can write off the home office and the donuts you bought for the team and, your gym equipment if you need to, your dogs, these kinds of things, right? So absolutely the accountable plan. The other big one for the smaller business especially is the master's exemption, right? The Augusta Rule. So your 14 days, get your business events, those pieces. If you're talking about on the other end, the very large companies, so if they're making, not very large, we're not talking Coca-Cola, right? But if we're talking businesses making gross $1 million or more, you need to be looking at things like captive insurance, 831B. These are ways that you can effectively wipe out completely the entire profit of a business, your own included. I have one, okay? Your own included, to get all that cash, keep it for you, and use it as your own private bank. So there's some really cool things you can do, but you've got to be looking at the right size strategy for the right size business, as well as understand the aggression scale of the client that you're working with. So
Yeah. Good point. The aggression scale, because obviously there's a risk going on in here and the attention that you're drawing to yourself. I like that. Let's talk about tax preparation and planning. I think this is a real timely discussion simply because there's people out there offering tax preparation services and their clients may presume that there's planning going on involved, that there's tax mitigation strategies being implemented when in reality, they're just filing the return. So how do you go about explaining to your clients the distinction between tax preparation and tax planning?
Absolutely. Well, and I'll explain how I explain it, and then I'll explain how I tell other CPAs to explain it.
Good, because I've got mine as well. So let's see what you say.
Both sides of this. So when somebody comes to us to tax status, our website is very clear. We do two things. One is tax prep, tax filing, IRS, what we call day-to-day CPA services. The other one, completely distinct, has its own engagement letter, has its own fees, all the things, tax strategy. Okay. And so we do get clients that come to us only for tax strategy. We work with thousands of other CPAs where they only want to do tax prep and we only do tax strategy.
Yep.
And that's fine. And so the way that we tell other CPAs to explain it is, listen, my job as a CPA, as a tax preparer, is to make sure you don't go to jail. Right? I'm going to fill in the right forms. I'm going to make sure all the boxes are checked. I'm going to take your information. I'm going to get it there. Maybe there's some basic planning, like should we lease the car or buy the car? Okay. But we're not talking big picture strategies, right? I have 5,000 returns to file and they're all due on April 15th. And there just isn't time. Side note, as a preparer, I'm not necessarily a specialist. The job of a tax strategist, right? All these initials that are after my name, CPA, MTax, CTC, CTP, CTS, right? The job of a specialist tax strategist, basically all I do all day is read court cases. Here's the change in the law. Here's this. Here's how this applies in this case with this set of facts and circumstances. And so for a tax preparer, if you want to get into strategy, that's one thing. But if you want to partner with a strategist, there's 15 of us in the country that are at the top of this thing, right? If you want to partner with a strategist, the easiest way to explain it to a client is, listen, we work together. We work on your program together. The strategist works just like your bookkeeper during the year. What changes, what tweaks, what can we make so that by December 31st, when the year is over and I take over to prepare your tax return, everything's already settled, it's already organized. We're not trying to go backwards and do all this kind of stuff. So
So as you're explaining that, one of the things that I really appreciate is the clarity, because I too often feel for the customer, the client, they don't understand the distinction between preparation and planning. They assume if I'm paying you as much as I'm paying you to file my return, that you must be paying attention or looking over the forms and identifying, well, here's some strategies you should be implementing to save in tax. That's not what the preparer is doing. They're basically filing the return in a timely manner and doing so accurately.
And
I'm
so sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Only bite you. If you're a tax preparer and you don't make it clear, my job is tax prep. That's what I do, right? I handle IRS notices. That's what I do. If you don't make it clear and they hear on TikTok, on YouTube, on whatever, well, what about this strategy? That could have applied to me. They're going to get mad at you because you didn't tell them. So 1,000% on the clarity front.
Yeah, I think that example you gave of the reels and the shorts, everybody running across these strategies. Why didn't you tell me? That's that intent of saying, I am a tax preparer. You can work it with a tax strategist, a planner, someone that can actually advise you throughout the course of the year how to legally mitigate your tax liability. And I would advise you to work with them. But once you're done with those strategies at the end of the year, you're going to come back to me and I'm going to file the return. That distinction there is so helpful to the client because you're right. They're not expecting something of you that you didn't clearly offer. So I love this part. This is, I think, so helpful to the accounting profession that we can be so much more clear with our clients and it would avoid so many trials. So much love this part of the conversation.
And, Roger, there's always a second piece of this that comes up, right?
Okay.
I personally believe that the fish pond is big enough for all of us. Okay. You'll get sometimes, well, it's my client. I don't want them to work with somebody else. What if they get really happy with that other person and then they don't come back to me? Okay. And forgive my universe or whatever, karma, whatever you want to call this, right? If you always be the best fiduciary, do what is right in the eyes of the client, they will always come back to you because they know that you did right by them. You helped them, you protected them, you got them the best that you could get them. And if strategy is not your game, partner with somebody who understands, like, even though I do taxes, I won't do if you refer a client, I'm not doing your client's taxes. Oh no, I will ship them back to you. Right.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, you got to work out those clarity, communication, right? You got to have those things in advance. So,
I'm going to add to this. I think there's also a mental thing here, and I'm talking to the tax goddess, so I think this will make sense. It's the whole idea of if I'm running a business through the mindset of scarcity, that I am in competition with everyone out there, and there's a finite number of potential customers, and I have to take from you to gain. That's a horrible way I feel to go about business. I believe in our world, as it relates to accounting, that there is an abundance of clients out there. There are a number of people that actually need our services. And if the one actually resonates more with you because of a personality thing or a service, by all means, go there, because I believe that who I am will resonate with others. And so I think there's a great deal of mental health, just recognizing that at the end of the day, I'm going to get enough clients. You're going to get enough clients. You don't have to starve for me to be successful. I don't have to actually take from you. If that's how we go about business, then I think we're going to be a lot happier, just realizing that we're all just as a community trying to service the small business world.
100%. Because if you make partners and your partner comes across a client that is your perfect client, where are they going to send them? To you. Right.
Yeah.
So this is all about the love, baby. I love it. So
Well, I've been doing this for so many years, literally 25 plus years. One of the things I realized is, as I worked with individuals, they sometimes would be intimidated by me to say, well, why would anyone do business with me when they could go with you, referring to myself?
Right.
And one of the things that I always pointed out is, you've got things that are uniquely you that I can't do. I've worked with women that have done very well offering accounting services to daycare providers. They know the industry, they know the language, the vocabulary, they know the nuances of the industry. I don't. 100%. So why am I going to presume that I'm going to get a client where this woman has actually done daycare and has chosen to specialize in that niche, and she's diving into it full force? She's going to get the clients, not me. And I just basically go to her and congratulate her on that. And I go industry after industry. These individuals, you have experience, you have exposure, you have a knowledge that I don't have. Yeah, I can maybe meet needs in a certain space, but you can clearly service them better than I can. And they're going to be drawn to you because of that. So yeah, love this. This is good. All right. How can a business owner effectively manage tax audits and ensure that they're prepared to respond to the IRS inquiries and the request documentations? As tax preparers, this is one of the things that we're going to be dealing with our clients. How do you effectively manage that as it's coming at you and the IRS is hiring 80,000 more people? I mean, what do we do here?
I love it. Well, first of all, smile, nod, I'll believe it when they actually hire the 80,000 people, which is, sorry for the.
No, that's good. That's good. Just see it when you believe it when you see it.
I believe it when I see it, right? It's like politics. They keep promising us this law, that law, whatever. I'm like, yeah. When you pass it and it's in law, tell me about it.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I absolutely firmly deep down in my heart believe is that you as a person cannot do all the things. You just can't. There isn't enough hours in the day. I remember when I first started, the plan was me and a secretary. Okay, let me back up. At this point now, 20 years later, I have 105 on staff, global. We've got 13 different divisions doing all sorts of things. Okay. So one of any professional that asks me what should be my first move, get help. Okay. Whether it's an admin, whether it's an executive assistant, whether it's a customer service person to answer the phone, whatever. Now, this ties specifically to the IRS audits. Realize that you can get P10 approved overseas professionals for $8 an hour. Okay. Get them on your POAs. You have to do 7216s with your clients, of course, if you're going to have anybody overseas. All right. But get help. You do not need to try to handle this all on your own. And so what I found in this particular arena, right, that is super helpful is to have one administrative person and one technical person, right? Somebody that at least a 3 or 4 year preparer, done IRS, knows what's going on with the IRS. That person does the phones. The admin assistant handles all the paperwork, collection, documentation, whatever it is. Okay? And they call in a big gun, right? One of my senior tax people, if there's a technical question that they can't answer. Yeah. So, I know when you're very first starting, and this is why I talk about overseas, okay? Because when you're very first starting, if you were trying to hire local to wherever you are, anywhere in the US, if you were trying to hire an admin, you're probably paying somewhere between $45,000 and $60,000 a year. plus payroll taxes, plus benefit, plus, right? Okay. And if you're hiring a technical person, you're probably talking in the range 70, 80, 90, $100,000 a year. You can't afford that. You just can't, right? When you're first starting until you get more clients. And so if that's the type of work that you've chosen to go into, you yourself are most likely the salesperson. You're most likely the person talking to the clients. You need to focus where your strength is and hire help that is good, but relatively cheap to be able to get the work done. So,
I'm glad that you brought up this offshore type services, because it is something that commonly comes up. A lot of people question, is it the right time to do it? When is the right time to do it? And you started to answer some of those things. So I do want to now dive a little deeper into this. When going overseas, one of the challenges I find is how to identify the firm you're going to use as it relates to services versus, am I going to employ individuals myself, hire them in-house?
Yeah.
How did you go about deciding your path?
Absolutely. So my story's been a long one. Let's put it that way. When I first started, I went with a firm. And I went with a firm because a very good friend of mine was using the same firm. Another CPA was using the same firm. And I'm like, okay, he's already vetted them. We're good. We know those people, whatever.
Yeah.
Within about a year, firm was great. No problems. However, within about a year, I started to recognize the problems with using a firm. They were, per the contract, allowed to switch in and out people, which means I didn't even know the name of the person working on my stuff. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
They were allowed to control the work hours. Well, if I needed to talk to somebody at 2:00 in the afternoon, I need to talk to somebody at 2:00 in the afternoon, right? Like, this doesn't work for me. So there were a lot of control type issues about how I could run my life based on this contract that I had with this firm.
Yeah.
So what we ended up doing, what I recommend to anyone who at the current moment has no overseas help of any kind, go to Upwork. Upwork is more expensive than hiring directly. However, Upwork will take care of all of the paperwork, all of the payments, scheduling, all the conversations can go through Upwork. And one of the things that I love about Upwork, at least to start, you can see who else have they worked with, what were the ratings, what are the profiles. You could call that other company and say, hey, did Bob actually really work with you? And how did that go? You can do a lot of research on those people. So generally, when a firm hits 5, overseas, then I start to say, okay, get them off of Upwork and start working with them directly. Because effectively at this point, COVID was such a blessing and a curse, of course, but a blessing for this particular arena. Because for a lot of people, as I said, I'm ex-KPMG. KPMG has had overseas teams for 30, 40 years, right?
Yeah.
The small firms are so far behind on this front. And so we started hiring ourselves, not through Upwork, not through anything, about 14 years ago now. So we've got our own HR department. One of them's in Armenia, one of them's in Nigeria. We've got people in 17 countries. So, it really depends on size, on the work you need. And Upwork is super flexible when you're first starting. So I like Upwork.
Yep, I've used Upwork and I'm very familiar with it. And with the hiring I've done, they've been very accommodating. Enjoy working with people overseas. I've found, fortunately, some good quality individuals, capable and so forth. Communication's been fine, and I find that they're very loyal. So I haven't had a good turnover. So that's good. And the other thing I would add to this is the success I feel that determines whether or not offshoring is going to be effective is how well I have standard operating procedures, how well everything's documented. If I've got the system in place for them to follow, it means for a clean, onboard training implementation. If I'm thinking they're going to read my mind and presume that they just know how to do it, I'm just opening up a can of worms. And honestly, the same would be true for the success of an individual hiring them locally in-house, because I'm just basically saying, here's a paycheck, now go sit over there and go to work. I have to trust that they're going to follow some process that I've already documented and proven is effective, and it's effective. Therefore, I can have expected results. Therefore, I can manage you. So those are the things that I've found so essential as it relates to offshoring. And I've got people in my organization that are overseas. I've got one in Kenya, Philippines, and so forth. So they're out there and they do very well for us. Learn the turnkey process for starting and building a successful accounting business. It's in this course, so you'll actually experience 4 specific trainings. Part 1, your business plan, everything you need to know to get started. Part 2, how to price your services, the pros and cons of different methods, and the best way to price your services that are both profitable and professional. Marketing and selling your services so that you can actually be top of mind, but more importantly, how to actually be seen as a trusted strategic advisor. And last of all, mapping it all out. 5 principles in running a profitable business so that you can be both competent and confident in the services you're providing. Learn now what it is you can be doing to start and build your own successful accounting, bookkeeping, or tax business. Go to the episode description and there get the information you need to take advantage of this today. What I'd like to do is kind of dive now a little deeper into this. You've got a thriving business, over 100 employees. Clearly, you're doing well. How has this journey been for you so far as a personal thing? How has it affected your life on a personal level?
Well, a couple of things with that question. So the first one is every business has up and downs, right?
Uh-huh.
So we're 20 years old this year in August. And so, we've had really, really good times. I've had times where somebody tried to steal clients. I've had great times. I've had times where somebody did it doesn't matter, local, overseas, none of it. We're all human. Clients are human. Human has communication involved. Something's going to happen somewhere along something or another, right? Mm-hmm. So the piece of advice that I would give from that standpoint is just because it's tough today doesn't mean if you have a good dinner and you go to bed, you take a shower, go to bed, get up tomorrow morning, it'll be the same day, right? So things change on a heartbeat. Okay. The other things, at least from a personal perspective, doing what we've done, right? Doing what Tax Goddess has turned into has allowed me, I am clearly an entrepreneur by spirit, right? I actually own 6 businesses. And so having Tax Goddess and having it be stable and having the teams and the systems and the clients and everybody's happy has allowed me to be the entrepreneur, to really flourish and to be able to build. I want this kind of business and that kind of business and this kind of thing, and to grow and expand to what I want. And no matter whether you're an accountant or a dentist or a lawyer, it doesn't matter what business you're in. That's kind of the dream, kind of the goal of having a business is you get it to a point where it's stable, right? You and or your team. I always have to qualify this because not everybody themselves can do it alone. Having a good team or part-time advisors or whatever can be very necessary for a lot of people. However you get it to be stable and it's making the kind of money, it's providing the security, it's doing whatever it is you need it to do, allows you the freedom. And for most entrepreneurs, people that have gone out on their own, that's really what they're looking for, right? I want to be able to eat steak, not ramen, have a trip twice a year, something like that, right? And be able to do what I want to do.
Yeah. So, yeah. I'm loving this because clearly you can see the benefits of what's going on. So I have to ask, what are you grateful for then?
Oh, so much. What am I grateful for? My brain immediately goes to an amazing team, right? As you said, you've got people that they're with you, they're in it, they see the vision, they know what they're doing. Absolutely grateful for that. I am grateful for a lot of the mentors that I've had along the way, right? My mother being the very first one going, you can do it, these kinds of things. But I've had some amazing business coaches. I've had part-time CFOs. I'm sure, I'm an accountant, but I don't do that. I do tax strategy, right? So having people that support me in the industries where they are really good and the knowledge that they know, having great lawyers writing great contracts that have protected me from nasty clients. Okay. You name it. I feel very, very, very lucky that every morning I wake up, I get to do what I do. And it's because of all of these pieces that have come together. And I know so many people say, Shauna, you should stop saying that it's luck. It's not luck. You built it. I'm like, I have to say there are some days I remember meeting a business coach standing at a gas station pumping gas. If that's not luck, I don't know what to tell you is, right? You just never know what's going to happen. So keeping your eyes open is another big thing.
There you go. You started obviously very young, 24. I dare say the 20s is a hard time to start a business. It's more common that somebody goes out, kind of cuts their teeth on things, get a little bit of experience, and then they break out. So what would you tell your younger self as you were in your 20s, building the business, struggling as you may have? What would you tell your younger self as you reflect on what you've accomplished so far?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, inspect what you expect. You almost got there a little earlier with one of your comments, right? If I'm handing over work to you, don't just assume it's being done, right?
Yes.
Inspect what you expect. And every day is different, right? Today can be terrible and tomorrow you can wake up and it'll be fabulous. So, have patience, keep on the path, keep focused on what it is that you want. You will get there. So.
That's beautiful. A lot of my listeners, they are in different phases of their business. Some are solopreneurs, some are actually established with bookkeepers and so forth. Others have very thriving businesses, multiple locations, very successful. But the question I want to ask you is, when you're in that solopreneur stage, you're back just you and you were imagining your business as just you and an assistant or something.
Yeah.
Why go to the next level? What's on the other side that some of these people may not be realizing as they're growing their business? Because they could even have 20 staff. You've got 100. What's on the other side that they're not realizing?
Oh my goodness. Well, my initial answer to your question is, I had no idea it was coming. I really didn't. I had no clue. And what ended up happening was, you go out there, you meet people, they like you, as you talked about the niche, right? This is my niche. This is what I did. I did strategy for KPMG. I did strategy for these other firms. This was my niche. And when the clients start to come to you because you are projecting, you are who you are in the public world, clients will flock to you. And when they flock to you, there were days when I didn't sleep. I like sleep. Generally, I like sleep, right?
Yeah,
and so, as I said, I don't think it was ever an intention to build a firm. That's just what happened. And so as we grew, as we got clients, I think probably the most important thing, recognize when something is not your strength, really, right? If you are not good on the phone, if you're better with numbers, hire customer service, hire a secretary, hire assistant, whatever. Get people surrounding you that are smarter than you in absolutely every area, and allow yourself to go do what you are really smart at.
Love it. Excellent advice. Yeah. One thing I'd add to that is basically go bold, go big. One of the things that I love about the tax goddess is you embrace that. And it's one of those things that it's like, I'm all in, and I'm not just a tax preparer. I'm not just a strategist. It's not that I can help you. No, I'm the tax goddess. If you want it, I've got it, and I can take care of you. And there's some boldness there. And I like that confidence. The second thing I would add to it is riding the wave. You need to basically just kind of accept when success is coming your way, ride it, see how far you can take it, enjoy the journey. Look at the view you've got from being where you're at and enjoy this, because I'm of the opinion that there's a lot of solopreneurs out there that are just saying, I like what I've got. I make a good living. I work with some great clients. And I really feel that they've got a missed opportunity where they could hopefully teach other people that are wanting to aspire and become better accounting professionals. They've got something that's working. They've got clients. Teach people. Let's help the economy. Employ some individuals. Give them your wealth of information. Grow something that you can be proud of, build your empire. And that's one of the things that I think is very powerful, is so many people deflate what they can do because I'm good where I'm at. And I'm not saying you have to go big. I'm not saying you have to do it a certain way. It is still your business. But at the end of the day, I think sometimes we're just not willing to embrace, maybe I can do a little bit better and help more people and train someone else and make a difference. And that's what matters.
And for me, it's all about do what suits you. Okay. If you want to be a solopreneur and you sit across the desk from your clients, you don't want a secretary, you want to do all the things, do that. If you're happy, I'm happy. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you want something bigger, if you want to create a staff, if you want to be able to take Fridays off golfing because somebody else is handling the work, go for it. Right. What's the worst? My mother always taught me to look at what is the worst thing that could possibly happen. You go out, you try it, you fail, you go get a W-2. There aren't enough accountants and CPAs and tax preparers and bookkeepers to go around. Okay. You can get a job anywhere you want to. So try it, right? Worst case, you try it, you fail, you go get a job, you save up some money, you try it again. Maybe circumstances have changed, right? So there's always a million ways to skin the cat. And I think it's just about what do you want? And I do think, going back to your question about what would I tell my younger self, at 24, when I started the business, I didn't know what I wanted. I just wanted to make enough money to eat steak, not ramen. That was always what was in my head. I want to eat steak, not ramen, right?
Yeah.
But now, I'm 45. I'm an old lady now, right? 45. And, now what I want is to build an empire. So, life changes. It's okay to change. So
Very good. Shauna, this is wonderful. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wrap this up. First thing I want to do is point out to my listeners that in the episode description, we're going to have some information here you want to take advantage of. She's got obviously this book that she's written that I'd like you to go and get a copy of. It is basically the 6% Life. And we're going to have the information there in the episode description for you to get a copy of it. In addition to that, we've got some other great resources as it relates to starting and building your business, one of which I would highly recommend that is called Your Strategic Accountant. It explains essentially what it is you should be doing as you're working with your clients to provide good quality accounting services. So go to the episode description, find that information, and obviously take advantage of that today. In addition to this, one of the things that I'd like to do is just kind of summarize some of the highlights of the conversation. First of all, I'm thoroughly impressed with the fact that she started the business as young as she did. Having that entrepreneurial drive and going out there and building this empire is phenomenal. I get the fact that she started with the intent of just being herself, maybe an assistant or an employee or two. Clearly now she's built a thriving business, and that journey to go about doing that was amazing. I liked how she came to her business name, how just in that one setting, she was sitting there, struggled to realize, how am I going to introduce myself? Out comes the tax goddess, and lo and behold, it stuck. Seeing the heads turn and resonating with that was a great way of actually kind of owning who she was and going deep into that. The other part of this was obviously writing the book. I find that books are essential. I find that they have really helped me in my career as we've, tried to position ourselves in the various things we do. Obviously, writing the book, having that be that precursor thing that client can go through and really become educated as to your business, your philosophy, and then come to you ready to pay for your services is a great way of pre-screening these individuals. And obviously, it positions you as the expert. So that's wonderful as well. As it relates to growing the business, she obviously went through this process of trying to assess offshoring. Do I actually use a service? She recommended Upwork as a great place to begin, but clearly saw the value of actually hiring these individuals and employing them around the world and building a thriving business, of which she now has over 100 employees. This is beautiful. Why? Because she's in that tax strategy space. And we talked about the distinction between preparation and strategy, and why as a profession, we need to be a lot more clear with our clients as to the role that we're performing, and more importantly, that they're paying for. Excellent topics that we had today. I thought it was a wonderful discussion. So Shauna, do you have a closing thought for my listeners?
Do what makes you feel in love with life.
Beautiful, succinct, and simple. I love it. Let's be happy. There's a lot to be grateful for. And I think that as we're each working on our businesses, we can at least pause for a moment and recognize the blessings in our lives and be happy for it. So well said. So Shauna, let me go ahead and wrap this up. I'm going to basically say to all of my listeners, if you haven't already subscribed, definitely subscribe to the podcast. Love to have you actually subscribe, getting the notifications of each and every week when we release a new episode. Every week we have on the show experts to share with you things that you need to be considering as it relates to starting, building, and having the premier accounting firm in your area. In addition to that, one of the things that I'd like to point out is with regards to this, we have a podcast highlight that you can go and listen to various playlists that we've assembled from the experts that are specific to particular things you may be dealing with in your business today. So I invite you to go to universalaccounting.com. There in the podcast section within the navigation, you'll find the highlights, and there you can binge list the various playlists that we've compiled related to topics ranging from marketing, selling, pricing, various things maybe involving tech stacks, mental health. You'll find the topics there, binge list, and hear the experts. I'd like to also invite you to GrowCon. GrowCon is an annual conference for individuals who own, operate successful businesses offering bookkeeping, accounting, and tax businesses. It's from the stage that we have on the experts that you can actually find the various things you need to be doing today to work on your business. In addition, as a conference, we're able to actually introduce you to your peers, those individuals that are like you, thriving in their businesses. It allows you to collaborate, make friendships, and most importantly, learn from the best. In addition, we also have our staff, those from Universal Accounting. They're there for you to meet, greet, interact with, so that you can be in business for yourself, but not by yourself with Universal. All these things are essential. Get your ticket now, register for GrowCon, and I will see you in May. And then the last thing I'd like to mention is if you'd like to actually learn more about these principles, find out what it is you can be doing to grow your business, feel free to reach out to us. You can reach out to us at Universal Accounting. Go to universalaccountingschool.com or give us a phone call at 801-265-3777. And always remember this, if it's about accounting, it is Universal. Take care and be safe out there.